There will be no real non-controlled currency in the world.
We're coming for you, banks.
And this is exactly what these Bitcoin Cash people are building.
Shout out to the Dragon Riders and the House of the Dragon.
Because it's a completely different situation than it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's how frogs can't boil. And they added a bunch of new opcodes and they're doing a bunch of things over there.
It will be the most hated rally ever because a lot of people from some propaganda hate Bitcoin Cash.
Hello and welcome back to the Bitcoin Cash podcast, following Bitcoin Cash on its rise to global reserve currency. This is episode number 176, crypto conferences and BCH promotion featuring 00 Tats. Today is Wednesday, the 4th of March, 2026. It is absolutely over. The BCH price has tanked to $459.39 per 100 megasats, which is way down. One BTC sat buys 155.5 BCH sats, also way down, and one ETH buys 449 megasats, way down. So tough week for BCH. Selene 30-day users 723, and the Tokenaut TBL 8,892. There are 43 Layla NFTs available for Bliss. So if you're still lacking one of those, go and pick one up so that you can come along and hang out with us in Slovenia. It's going to be absolutely epic. Our guest today is a tattoo artist and BCH promoter, one of the best dressed men in BCH. Rocking a fashionista rocking the BCH tie and putting us all to shame. Last on the show, only 6 or 7 months ago, but feels like it's been a while. We were just discussing that. Welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, bro. I'm doing real good, man. I'm feeling real BCH green today, man, for real.
What's been happening in your neck of the woods? What's the latest? BCH aside, we'll get to that, but on the rest of your life, how's things looking?
Oh man, it's just looking up and up though, man. Every day I take another step towards, the end goal. I'm making progress in life, making sure I'm being productive, and you say, we're not gonna talk about BCH, but man, my life is BCH. So when I wake up, like, that's what I'm on. It's my mission every day at this point, man. Like, it's that serious, man. Even if I'm not tattooing, I'm talking to somebody about Bitcoin Cash every day, for sure.
That is very, very cool. I see you've been very active on social media as well lately. I notice when you're going hard because suddenly it's everywhere, and I'm like, man, how does this guy put out so much stuff? Do you have like a system, like one of those programs that lets you like automatically cut up clips or something? Because I don't know how you do it.
Nah, man, this is my life, man. I don't have a 9 to 5, man. Like this is what I do every day, all day at this point. Like, of course I do tattoos, but that's I control that schedule. So if I don't want to tattoo nobody else, but Bitcoin Cash tattoo, that's what I'm going to do. And that's lately what I've been doing, man. I just wake up on BCH every day and like, I don't have nothing else to do. So let's do it. Like, you know what I mean?
All right, fair enough. Well, let's get straight to it then. So when you were last on the show 6 or 7 months ago, I can't remember exactly which FundMe campaign you were on, but you've done 2 FundMe campaigns. The first one was to deliver 5 tattoos with a month of studio time and labor and rent and everything like that, with CashStamp onboarding, all that stuff. And that seemed to go really well. It got funded. You did the tattoos. I think it was very impressive. It was, seemed to be making an impact. And so then you did a second one to deliver 40 more BCH tattoos. Now, I've seen, evidence of that. You put up some of the photos, some of the ones you've done and everything like that. But just walk us through it in hindsight. Like, maybe people who didn't listen to the last episode are kind of out of the loop on this. So just from the start, explain how you got into the BCH tattooing and why it's such a good idea.
Right. Well, okay. Well, I gotta give a lot of credit to Ken Bozak, man, because he's a creative genius when it comes to ideas, man. And he just, he seen me tattooing and he seen me, dealing with mom and pop businesses. And he said, hey, man, a good way to help promote mom and pop businesses is you would be able to do tattoos of their brand name or their logo on people for free and then seek compensation about it. And I don't know how, but I guess he was talking to Steve about that, and Steve Thurman was like, "Hey, that's a great idea. How about ask him if he would be interested in doing Bitcoin Cash tattoos on the same plan?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like, and like, yeah. Ever since then, Steve Thurman, he's a angel, man. He blessed me with the first 20 Bitcoin Cash tattoos and out of his own pocket. He funded them, and he create this system to where, okay, now we got this proof of work. Now let's present it to the Bitcoin Cash community as a whole and say let's show them the value that we present to the Bitcoin Cash community.
Uh-huh. So then the idea is obviously that tattoos are permanent, right? So once you give there's an upfront cost, you obviously need the gear, you need the space to do it, you need the money for your time and labor, of course. And then once you've done the tattoo, then that person is going to carry that with them for the rest of their life, right? And they're going to be walking around, they're going to be sparking conversations, they're going to be having people, get interested. Like, it's pretty high signal in
Yes,
that.
100%. 100%. I got people that I put the tattoo on reach back out to me and say, man, everywhere I go, people ask me about this tattoo, asking me about Bitcoin Cash. I've told people about this Celine wallet probably 50 times since I got this tattoo. And I was like, yeah, that's it's doing its job. That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. I love to hear it. That means you're onboarding people. I had to explain to them what onboarding is. You know what I mean? And they was like, oh, okay. And they're like, yes, I'm a part of the movement then, right? I'm like, yes, you're very part of the movement. Like, I'm thankful that you took that initiative to do what you're doing. Like, for sure.
That's amazing. And so do you have like a Telegram group or something? How do you keep in contact with all these alumni of your tattoo experience? Because it would be quite a crowd by now, right?
Yeah. For the most part, man, it's just crazy. I end up losing my my last Instagram, so a lot of the alumni that I was in contact with, I end up losing their information. But some people that I got personal information, they call me and tell me what's going on. Like, you know what I mean? They're really almost all in as much as I am, like, for sure.
And do people come back and get a second BCH tattoo after their first one, or how does that go down?
Yeah, that's funny you asked, because my mama asking for another one, my niece asking for another one. I got a couple people asking for more, like, for sure. Like, they want more, like, for sure.
And so the ones that you've done, obviously, with these fund me's were kind of funded by the community. But as far as I know, you also went above and beyond and did a bunch extra on top of that. Are you getting even like people who are willing to then, like, people would pay you for regular tattoos, right? If they were going to get some other tattoo, they would pay you. Are you having people who are willing to pay to even get a BCH tattoo yet?
I've had people tip me, but not necessarily, hey, I'm going to pay you for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I had people that didn't know nothing about Bitcoin Cash at all, and just flat out said, bro, I don't know why I'm getting this tattoo. I just want to support you, bro. Like, I love you. I love what you got going on, and anything I can do to support you, I'm all in. And that was the last one I did a couple days ago, and I was just like, man, thanks, bro. That really means a lot, because, like, he's not even concerned about what Bitcoin Cash is. He just want to support me as a human, as an artist, and I just appreciate that, and I feel like I'm getting more of that the more that I consistently do it. They're just like, I love what you're doing. I'm it's above their heads, so it's like, okay, explain to me later, but right now just tattoo me, like, you know what I mean, like, for sure. And
That's that's pretty high levels of trust if they're like, all right, I'm in for a tattoo and we'll get the education later. Is it like literally while you're tattooing people that you're walking them through it and explaining it? Like, that's a lot to be going on in your head to be getting the tattoo right and also giving them a masterclass in BCH. Is that how it goes down?
Yeah, for the most part, to a certain degree, I'm splitting my concentration a little bit, but for the most part, I've been tattooing almost 20 years, so it's like riding a bike. I can walk and chew bubble gum. Talking and tattooing ain't that hard.
Okay. All right. Very cool. So how many tattoos do you think you have done total for BCH tattoos so far?
Over 75 for sure already. Like I said, it's been some that I didn't even get to get pictures of. It's some that like like, when I tell you, I almost didn't get it all the way done because I was in the middle of a party and they started shooting, and we had to stop the tattoo. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah. So yeah,
Holy
like I said,
crap.
over 75 of them for sure. I just minted the last 10, like, not even 5 minutes ago. I just minted them and I posted them on X. Just now I got a new video posted. but the last 10 that I just did for for my last campaign.
Damn, amazing. Okay. And then you were doing these at Bitcoin Ben's crypto club, right? So tell, for people who don't know, and I don't even know, I've never been there. I've seen some photos and heard you talk about it a little bit, but what was that about and what's happened to it since?
Yeah, Bitcoin Beans Crypto Club was initially a great experience for me. It's been all good to come up out of it, because I learned a lot. I learned about crypto a lot. I was introduced to Bitcoin Cash there. I threw a couple of events and did a lot of good networking and just made progress in my life. But it turned out that I guess Bitcoin Ben and his facilities aren't let's say legitimate or whatever, and people were paying consequences because of that. And basically, I'm under the impression that Bitcoin Ben's crypto club in Las Vegas is shut down right now. That's I'm under the impression of, because I don't work there anymore, and I've been there for a few months.
So, like, do you know any more details of that? I mean, looking at it from the outside, like you told me about how there was all these different things going on there. There was obviously you were doing the tattoos, but people were also putting on like music concerts, and people had like food and drink, and maybe they had art installations and all this kind of stuff. And just in my experience, those kind of things sometimes have a short shelf life, because when you have that much creative energy, it kind of spills out of the box, like
Yeah.
sometimes there's something to be said for having somebody who is kind of more a straight edge type of person, running the accounting and making sure everyone keeps to the
Right.
marching orders, but if it's
Right.
just too creative, too crazy, eventually
Right.
things kind of fall apart,
Yeah, 100%. I gotta give a shout out to Ken Bozak, because he was smart enough to understand that. He knows he's a degenerate and he's not prepared for all of that. You know what I mean? But he recruited someone that is very prepared, very qualified, and she came through and handled business, did everything she was supposed to do. You know, and 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 I'm under the impression that Ken followed all orders he was supposed to follow, but the orders that were given to him were pretty much erroneous, to the point to where him following orders led to the building getting shut down. And it's like, then they try to turn around and blame him for it. It's like, wait a minute. All he did was do what y'all told him to do. And he recruited the proper help and did everything properly. And y'all tripping on him. It's some bullshit, man. I don't even like talking about it, because it's really a sensitive subject, man. Because we put a lot of energy and time invested into that building, and to not have nothing to show for it is really heartbreaking, man.
Well, I mean, I guess you still have, the connections with the people who came out of it, all right. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, if you don't want to like go into all the details, that's fine. This doesn't need to be the drama gossip episode or anything. But I'm just curious, because I think that like those things have such high potential, that when they don't work out, or when even sometimes when they do, it's a good thing to learn lessons from. And given that it helps get you involved in BCH and you were spreading BCH adoption from there and all that, I'm just trying to, dig into a little bit like what was right and what was like, tell us what was good about it while it was there, for anybody who's thinking of, like, we had Gareth on the show who's talking about doing his Isle of Man center, and people are maybe popping up crypto locations around the world. So what worked that you think people should, pay attention to?
It worked as far as being a like a event space, to organize some events, and for networking, it was good for that. But as far as like it wasn't like we had a whole staff of people that was there, to teach. It wasn't a real curriculum. We were just really just getting started for the most part. So it wasn't like we built a really solid foundation before it was all destroyed, honestly.
Right. Okay. Kind of sad. But anyway, then after that sort of fell apart. So what have you done now? Like, I assume you're not doing tattoos there anymore. So you must have set up shop somewhere else, right?
Yeah, actually, setting up shop is funny, because I decided to set up shop in the back of a U-Haul, man. Like, because I got tired of being stationary, not being mobile, bringing people to my own house, strangers to my house and stuff. And it's like, you know what? Let me do something that's more, dramatic. You know what I mean? I should say, to the least, because to be able to be tattooing in the back of the U-Haul was really perfect while it lasted. It was crazy, because I was in the U-Haul, it was paid for, until it wasn't paid for anymore. And once we start paying for it, then it becomes a stolen U-Haul. But at that point, I'm driving around doing tattoos in a stolen U-Haul, and it's simply because we haven't turned it in yet, but now they wanted to call it stolen. Yeah, so I ended up going to jail because of that shit, man. I ended up doing a couple of days in jail about a stolen U-Haul, and it's like, oh, I didn't steal it. I was about to turn it in today. Like they told me to turn it in today. I was about to turn it in today, but I guess they considered it stolen at the same day. So yeah, I went to jail, and all my tattoo equipment was in the U-Haul. So once they impounded the U-Haul, all my tattoo equipment went to the police evidence property place, whatever. And I went almost over a month without my tattoo equipment, and it was tough. It was tough.
Holy crap. So you rented the truck, you were doing the tattoos out of the truck, but then, as you were coming up to the end of your lease period, you turned it in sort of 1 day late or whatever, and then got in trouble for that. They impounded all your stuff. You're in jail. Then what? Well, firstly, how was jail? I don't know. Do you have any reflection? I've never been in jail. I don't know. How was it?
I mean, jail is jail, man. It wasn't the worst experience I ever had in jail, because I've been in jail a few times, sadly. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't the worst experience. But I think something kind of was cool. Like, okay, Las Vegas has like it used to have a jail TV show, and the jail that I was at was famous for being on that TV show. So that was probably kind of cool, But other than that, man, I was upset, man, for the most part, because I'm like, bro, this is some bullshit. I'm in jail for having a stolen U-Haul, and it's like, well, I'm just doing tattoos in the U-Haul, man. That's all I'm doing. I'm doing Bitcoin Cash tattoos in the U-Haul, man. Y'all trying to lock me up for that, man? Y'all tripping? Like,
yeah. So you get out, and then you got to kind of put things back together again after that. So what was the next step there?
And it was rough. Like I said, I didn't have my tattoo coming for over a month, man. So I was drawing. I was doing a little bit of strange for a little piece of change, man. I had to do whatever to pay the rent, man. For real, it was tough, but I made it happen. I made it out, and I ended up. And this was in the process. I'm pretty sure that was in the process of me completing one of my campaigns as far as my promised tattoos. So I had to go over a month without doing any of the tattoos that I promised, and it was tough, man. It was tough. Like I felt, yeah, that was one of the times where I was like, pretty much a little bit MIA from social media and stuff, like, because I was MIA from everything, man. They took my equipment from me, took my livelihood, man. It was a dark time for me for a minute, man.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, a lot has happened in the last 6 months. Like we were saying, that's kind of crazy. But you've got back on your feet now. At least seems so. So what's the situation now?
Oh, we're good now, man. It's funny, like, because I have went to jail a total of 3 times within the last time I seen you. You know what I mean, or talk to you. But like, I've been acquitted all charges, and I'm good to go. I'm here now. You know what I mean. But it's been so much little petty bullshit that's been keeping me from being able to produce the way I wanted to. But that was all 2025. 2026 is here now, and we're doing a lot better. I'm here in Indiana now. Just came from pretty much almost like on a tour from Vegas to Denver to Michigan, down to Indiana now. I've been doing tattoos the whole time and doing Bitcoin Cash tattoos the whole way there too, man. I'm just so thankful to be able to be in a position now that I am in now, to just be able to provide for my family, and got my mom, and she don't have to worry about her bills no more. I have to make sure she took care of her disabled veteran stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so that's a lot of stress taken off of my shoulders. Like I said, 2025 was a real rough year for me, man. Rest in peace, the mother of my son, Shamaya Allen, man. She committed suicide in the beginning of 2025, and a lot of people don't even know that. And I was still, thugging through it. I was really trucking through it, and not letting my circumstances affect my performance. But in reality, like, people that know me know that I wasn't myself throughout this past year. I've been really struggling with depression, and it's been tough, man. But 2026 has been a lot better for me, and I'm thankful, and I'm in a lot better spirits, and I'm just feeling real positive and productive, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, you definitely seem upbeat and energetic today. So do you have a fixed location where you're doing like we said about setting up shop, or like you
Oh
said, if you're
yeah,
just touring
yeah.
around, are you renting other people's studios, or what's going on?
And I'm literally tattooing out of my luggage, man. Like I'm pulling up mobile tattooing on people's couches, man. Wherever I can do it, man. You know. And right now I'm in Indiana, so it's cold, and I'm like I said, I'm tattooing everywhere though, man. Like I don't have a building that I do tattoos out of right now, and that's kind of the importance of me proposing that, asking for the Bitcoin Cash tattoo sprinter band, because that's going to be everything that I need to propel my life, the Bitcoin Cash life forever. Like, and I'm really excited to be able to hopefully be getting that.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like you thought the U-Haul idea was a good one. It sounds like that was really working if it hadn't been for that like hiccup at the end there. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
is that what you would want to go back to ideally, or?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. To be able to do mobile tattoos, be able to do, like I said, the Bitcoin Cash tattoos, mobile, like anywhere, everywhere, like that would be a blessing, man. And it's something I'm really looking forward to being able to do, man, because like it's tough, and it was going really well in the U-Haul. I had all the pictures hanging up. I had the your Bitcoin podcast poster hanging up and everything. It was fire, man. I love the whole vibe and to be able to customize it completely and do it the right way, and not have to worry about the cops coming lock me up and taking everything from me. That would be that would be so ideal for me and my lifestyle. Because like I said, like my life is tattooing. My life is Bitcoin Cash. So like, let's put it together and make it happen, man.
We just got Callisti in the chat saying, "Can confirm, bro gave me a tattoo out of his luggage on my couch." Lol.
Straight up,
So,
man. Straight up, bro. Like I'm literally, I'm not gonna let nothing stop me, man. Like stuff might slow me down, but it's not gonna stop me, man. Like my mother, she tells me all the time, I'm one of the strongest people she's ever met, because I could tell you if this a few things in my life that would have broken the average man. You know what I mean? Like people hear my story and they be listening, like, damn, you really went through that, like, and you still smiling, you still sane, like you're still able to talk to people and communicate. You would think nothing ever happened to you, and that is a testament to my strength and my resilience, man. And I want to apply that strength and resilience to Bitcoin Cash, man, because that's what I see. That's what it's going to take. I see that's what we need, a level of strength and resilience that's going to be able to stand up against the naysayers and the non-believers.
yeah. So let's get into that a little bit. So you've been doing sort of BCH related stuff for more than 6 months, and probably even quite a little bit longer. So how has that been in terms of sort of the public reception with your tattoos? It seems to have gone really well, but what about outside of that? Have you found, like, in your interactions with other crypto communities and stuff? Tell me a little bit about that. How have you found where BCH sits in the sort of broader ecosystem, if you know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. Well, when I went to East Denver a couple weeks ago, that was a really big eye opener for me, because like I got to see other crypto communities, and honestly, I was kind of surprised that I didn't see any other Bitcoin cashers. You know what I mean? Like I was like, dang, where the B cash is at? You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, where we at up in here? I was by myself, And I was, like I said, I was a little bit surprised, but I'm like, you know what? That just shows me I got work to do. It shows me where I need to be at, And yeah, everybody that I talked to, for the most part, besides the Bitcoin maxis or whatever that got some type of illogical argument, I'm like, listen, don't start arguing with me, because I'm new. I don't know a whole lot. I mean, all I know is what I know. Like, you feel me? And yeah, so but as far as like other, okay, I can tell you a good experience I had with onboarding a merchant out in Denver. Because for one, like I said, the crypto scene in Denver is pretty big. Like it was a lot of different crypto communities that was there, and they were local there. They actually lived in Denver. On top of everybody that flew into Denver for the conference, the local scene in Denver is very crypto related. And a lot of people was very receptive to me, and just they was like, oh yeah, that's really cool that you sponsored by Bitcoin Cash, giving away free Bitcoin Cash tattoos. Like they were really like excited about it. And like I said, I met the owner of a smoke lounge. His name is Dwayne. The smoke lounge is called Tetra 9 Lounge in Denver, Colorado, and the Smoke Lounge. It's funny because the day we met him, it was his 8-year anniversary for being open for business. And me and Ken Bozak and who else was with us? Mickey, and we were all happy that he was having his anniversary. So we decided to throw him pretty much a get together, a little gathering to celebrate his 8-year anniversary. Long story short, man, before we end up leaving, I onboarded him to pay Taka and Bitcoin Cash. So now he's accepting Bitcoin Cash as payment to get into his facility and for food and drinks and everything. And we talked about having Bitcoin Cash themed events on a monthly basis, to where those his clients and members get discounts for using Bitcoin Cash, and like he sees what I'm doing, he understands it, and he wants to support me in every way he can, and he wants to be a part of it because like it was Black History Month, and we locked in, man. It was a great feeling, man. Like I said, I was so proud of him for being in business for 8 years, and like what it kind of bothered me though, because when we came in, we asked him, did he accept Bitcoin? We asked him, did he accept crypto? He was like, no. And I was like, but you living in Denver and everybody up in here is a crypto city. You know what I mean? So why are you not accepting crypto? But yeah, like that was the eye opener though. And we got him to accept Bitcoin Cash, set him up on the PayTaka system. And yeah, like, so yeah, it was a great sprint.
Very cool, very cool. So how many people were at ETH Denver? I've never been to any Ethereum related conferences or things like that at all. So I genuinely have no idea. Like you say there was a lot of people. How many people? Are we talking thousands? What was it?
Man, listen, it was in a big convention center. Like, I mean, it was the line was wrapped around the building, inside it was packed. I mean, I wasn't counting, you know what I mean? But I'd probably say a few hundred people, probably at least 1,000 people, like, like for sure. It would be, I couldn't say, I wouldn't be able to think it was less than 1,000 people, honestly, for sure.
And what kind of like booths and stuff were they doing there? What did you learn about it? What did you find there?
It was a lot of like crypto privacy, crypto security, crypto legal, crypto, like just a lot of different things in the Web3 space where people were just using the Web3 and blockchain technology to either secure this and make this private and communicate this way, and it was a bunch of stuff where I felt like this company needed this company, but they weren't communicating with each other. And I was like, y'all are the key for each other's success, but y'all not communicating. But I guess it was like a type of rule or something. It was weird. I was like, I felt like we need to be doing more networking amongst each other rather than trying to pedal to no pointers. You know what I mean? That's the vibe I was getting. Like they were more focused on the no pointers than actually producing or developing the solution to the issues.
Interesting. Okay. Because part of me thinks like, well, that's part of the reason you have a conference in the first place is to get all the people on the same page together and then figure out, how to cooperate. But you're saying that they weren't necessarily doing that, or did you even talk to those teams and find out like what did they have a rivalry amongst themselves, or were they aware of each other but they just didn't, they had a falling out or something? What happened?
Yeah, I think it was. If I can recall, it was something about like almost like conflict of interest. Was like they all paid to be there, so they can't work with you. I don't know, man. Don't give me the line, man. For real, it didn't make no sense to me why they wasn't working together anyway. And even the explanation didn't make no sense. I'm just like, okay, if you say so, like, sure.
You're not sounding super. It's interesting because you started off saying like you were really excited to go to this other venue, which sounds like it was outside the conference venue, right? That lounge was outside the venue. So you're like, all the action was there because there was already a good vibe. There was already a lot of people. But then actually in the conference, you weren't that impressed. That's an interesting contrast.
Don't get me wrong. The event as a whole was impressive to me. It was my very first event in general. So like it was, I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I was just a little bit confused by the lack of collaboration between the booths. You know what I mean? That was more anything. But everybody else was, looking to collaborate, and it was all good vibes. Like I said, it was just amongst the booths next to each other. And I was just like, I was confused. I'm like, his booth can help your booth, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't make no sense.
And what about, was there, I guess there must have been like talks and stuff like that. Did you listen to any of the talks or any of the main stage or anything like that?
Yeah. I went there a little bit. I sat down and listened a little bit to the couple different speakers, But honestly, man, it seemed like they was all talking about the same stuff, like having the same solutions to different issues or whatever. But it was like, okay, because this blockchain or this coin needs that type of security, this coin needs that type of security. They all need the same security, but it was different coins talking about it or different companies talking about it. And I was just like, that's what he just said. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
okay, all right. Kind of a monoculture. Well, it's just interesting because, like crypto conferences can be quite different amongst themselves, but also there's a bit of a trend in the industry where a lot of people go to crypto conferences and they don't really care like what's on the stage or even what's in the booths or anything. They're just there because it's a hub which brings together the people that they're interested in talking to, who maybe they're like, you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to have a booth and then get everything set up. If you can just be there walking around in your t-shirt or whatever, link up with people on the side, and then suddenly that's where all the action is. And so the actual event is more kind of a staging point for that side stuff rather than being the highest quality content itself, So I've heard that before. So it's interesting to hear you had that kind of similar experience.
Yeah, for sure. I got that for sure because the side events were definitely more inviting. It was like, it was more relaxed setting. I completely agree with that. That the side events were for more networking. You get more out of the side events as far as networking because, like you say, people walking around not even really looking at the speakers or whatever, and just really focusing on networking amongst the people because that's where a group of people, like-minded individuals, are coming together for sure. And that's what made me like, what, I got to keep going back to Denver because the crypto scene in Denver is so big. Like, it was a lot of people that was, like I said, local to Denver, and they were all in the crypto. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got to keep coming back to Denver because, like, I need all y'all crypto enthusiasts to start be enthusiastic about Bitcoin Cash.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So Ethereum didn't convince you? You're not going to be switching on to Team Ethereum?
For what?
I don't know. They had their conference. They didn't convince you? Okay, fair enough. But you were there with the whole crew as well, right? You said Callisti, Miggy, Ken Bozak. It seems like you guys have a little bit of a crew rolling there to now start showing up to these conferences. Talk to me about that aspect of it. That seems like it's going really great. How did you get that together, and why is that working so well?
Man, listen, man, I just feel like at this point, I feel like I know, I ain't gonna say I feel like I know it's my divine purpose. Everything that I'm doing, especially BCH related, it's all divine purpose. Like, I don't have to ask to do too much. I don't have to try too hard. I just have to do what I'm saying I'm gonna do, and it's all falling in my lap. Like I wanted, the things that I want to do are falling in my lap. And the things that I want to do are things that need to be done. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I didn't do too much other than just be myself, become invited to Eve Denver. Me being invited to Eve Denver, it just got us all synergized to okay, now we're together with the Bitcoin Cash podcast, and excuse me, the Not Another Bitcoin podcast, and being able to do that and just be able to align myself with somebody like Ken and Miggy, and they've been in the crypto space for so long. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what carried a lot of weight as far as when I filed my application for the media press, and on top of I definitely. In my application, I let them know, hey, I'm sponsored by Bitcoin Cash. I'm a tattoo artist, you know what I mean, for Bitcoin Cash. I put that in the application as well. So I don't know if that played a part or what, but nonetheless, like the Bitcoin conference, they understand that I'm coming BCH stuff for sure.
That's really cool. Yeah, you had this announcement that you're going to be representing at the BTC conference as like official press, which I guess is also going to get you hopefully if you're showing up there with a press pass, then you can get kind of behind the scenes. You can see what's going on
Definitely.
backstage. Maybe you have more of a reason to like interrupt some, key people and get like comments from them. What's the game plan going into that?
Listen. I'm still new, you know what I'm saying? so I don't want to like, come playing and just go haywire because too much Sam said. Like, so I talked to Kaliski about it, and he put me under understanding of like, we're really at a point where our work speaks for itself. The facts speak for themselves. Like, and until anybody could dispute a single line out of hijacking Bitcoin, like why do I need to argue? What do I need to have a rebuttal for? You know what I mean? I'm just gonna say go fact check whatever you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Go fact check this, go fact check that, and then watch us work. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, none of y'all has ever done what the Bitcoin Cash community is doing with me and everything that we're doing. So until y'all start doing stuff like this, then we don't want to hear nothing because y'all can't, y'all won't, and y'all can never will be Bitcoin Cash. Period.
That's great. I feel like
Y'all
I'm
felt
gonna
that now.
maybe
Y'all
clip
felt
that out.
Y'all like
That's
that?
like that's the like 10-second summary that just gets
I
to the
got you,
bottom
man.
of
I
it.
told you I'm here for you, bro. Listen, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you, Jeremy. Straight up, bro. We was communicating, man, and you said some things to me that really lit a fire under my ass, man. Like I don't know if that was intentional or what, but I tell you, it worked, man. Straight up, man. You telling me things like, you felt like, if I was, sometimes I was enthusiastic, sometimes I wasn't. And I'm like, hold up, man. You don't even understand what's been going on in my life, man. But listen, whether I'm doing tattoos or not, whether I'm enthusiastic on social media or not, every day is this work, man. Every day is BCH, man. I'm talking about I go hard every day. Every time I talk to somebody, if they're not trying to talk about Bitcoin Cash, they're not talking about the future, I don't want to talk. Like I got an attitude and everything. I might cuss them out. If they start talking about some bullshit and they don't want to listen to me talk about Bitcoin Cash, I don't want to talk no more. It's out of here, straight up. So
Well, that's right.
man. So they hear you telling me like stuff like you don't know how enthusiastic I am. If you don't know if I vanish, man, listen. You don't want me to do too much where I'm like, overworking myself or overwhelming myself. Man, I'm gonna show you what I'm capable of, man. Straight up, bro. Like this is light work for me, for real. Like I can do so much more. Like and now I'm just organizing everything to show you what I'm really capable of, man. Because I don't want you to have any doubts about me at all. I don't want anybody to have any doubts about me. I'm gonna make sure of that.
No, I love it. And I want to make this point for the listeners and the viewers. Other people might be having, similar thoughts to this, right? Which is that when you came to me and you said, oh, let me get on the show again. I got to update you on all this stuff you've been doing. And you were asking me about your FundMe, right? You were like, oh, we want to get another batch of funding, blah, blah, blah. And like people are not responding to it. Like there's first couple of FundMes, you did the FundMes, you got funded, you put out the results, that was great. And so then you were like, wait, what's going on? Like, I think I did a good job the first couple of times. Why would people not be keen to support it again? And what I said to you was, yeah, that's true. You did do a great job. And I saw you even delivered results. You did a lot of publishing on social media, which is key. Some people do stuff, then they don't, highlight it afterwards. So nobody knows what they did. But then the fact you went off the radar, I thought was a red flag for other people, and maybe even me a little bit, like I told you, because the BCH community has such a struggle with all these like grifters, basically, that come in, they're in there for a couple months, they get some money, and then they vanish. And there was certainly, now it's actually not so much, but 4 or 5 years ago, and in between all the splits and people falling out and arguing, so many problems with people doing that. So for anybody who is listening to this show and thinks they also want to get into this, like you're doing, like I'm doing, you want to get funded for stuff in BCH, the number one thing you've really got to do probably is to be transparent, deliver accountability on what you're doing. But the number two thing you need to do is be consistent, because even if you're doing the right thing, if it's kind of here and then it's gone and then it's here and then it's not, then people kind of feel more hesitant about putting resources into that, because when you're unlimited, like it's better to bet on a sure thing than to bet on something that might have high upside, but it might also go nowhere. So I'm really glad that you've got so fired up, and I think your output is great. That's actually amazing. As long as you can sustain it, then yeah, you are impressing me, man.
Thank you, bro. I'm really glad to hear that, man, because I definitely wanted to change the narrative in your mind, man, because I want to make sure that you feel the way I feel about me. You know what I mean? Like, because I want you guys to understand that I'm not going nowhere. It's my life. And I'm gonna tell you guys one thing. I do a lot of Bitcoin Cash tattoos, man. And somebody asked me, why don't you got Bitcoin Cash tattoo? And I'm like, I tell them straight up, bro. I said, listen, man. The only person I've been tattooing 18 years. I only taught one person how to tattoo, and that was the mother of my son. And she gave me my last tattoo before she committed suicide. And I told myself I want her to be the last person that tattooed me. You know what I mean? So if it wasn't for that, then I would have Bitcoin Cash tattooed on my face, bro. Literally, bro. So like when I tell you guys, like, I'm in here for the long one, I'm not going nowhere. Like, this is my life now. Like I truly, I mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. I put Bitcoin Cash tattoos on my mother. You know what I'm saying? Like she's coming to these she's been at the Black Agenda every week for the past 2-3 weeks, representing me and Bitcoin Cash. On the strength of how hard I go for Bitcoin Cash, and I tell her, and she understands. Like so to have my mom doing this, to have this, like, listen, like, I'm all in. Like, there's no turning back for me. Like I keep all my currency in my Selene wallet. You know what I mean? Like, when I tell you I'm all in, I'm all in. So I don't want the community to think like, oh, I don't know if he's gonna be here for real. And like, no, understand, like, this is my life, and I want this to be for my rest of my life until the mission is accomplished. Like, flat out, like, we got a mission. BCH, FTW. That's the mission, and that's what I'm working on all day, every day, straight up.
Yes, you and me both. And it's really just about finding ways to communicate that signal to other people, which is that nobody can see, the passion inside your heart or the commitment inside your mind. All they can see is the results in public over a long period of time, right? And that's just so essential. Like, trust is slow to build and quick to lose, right? So I think that's where people who are maybe also considering, if they have that fire inside them, they have that resilience. And that's something that I have talked about on the show quite a bit, because like when I first started the show, I think episode number 8 I did was about proof of passion, right? Which is that I had spent 11 years up until that point, or maybe let me think, 8 years or so until that point, telling everybody about BCH and about Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. And for the most part, people didn't really take it seriously. No matter how much evidence piled up, how much the price went up, how much more adoption there was, how much more media there was, doesn't matter. People were still like, okay, this is just Jeremy and his one crazy thing. And it was driving me nuts. I couldn't figure out, why are they not taking me seriously? And then as soon as I had the idea, it was just like, talk is just talk. Like, I had a lot of talk, but I didn't have a lot of like results, a lot of proof, a lot of real things. It's very easy to talk, but it's very hard to, like, tattoo 100 people, for instance, or do 200 episodes of the podcast, right? So then I got the idea, like, okay, if I just do something that has visible accumulative proof, people will start taking it seriously. Not at first, because they'll think, okay, this is just Jeremy's latest fad, but then once the ball got rolling, now it's the complete opposite. Now nobody's like trying to, they joke about it, but they joke about it in the way of like, wow, this is really impressive, rather than like, okay, this is like a stupid side thing. So I think for anybody who's having that same problem, that people are not listening to them when they're talking, you got to think, how are you communicating to them? If it's just words, that's not enough. You got to find other ways to manifest it into reality that they will look at and think, that took a lot of work. And then they'll take that seriously,
Right. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. And I'm glad you brought up passion, man, because something I want to talk about too. I recently heard a definition of passion, and it struck me deeply, because I was like, I like that a lot. They said the definition of passion is love and anger at the same time. And I feel very passionate about the Bitcoin Cash because for one, I love money, you know what I'm saying? And then like, I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm angry about the fact that our people don't have it. You know what I mean? Like, so, and it makes me angry when I try to talk to people and they don't want to listen, or they don't hear me, or they don't understand, and then I know I'm breaking it down in a way that they don't understand, but they still just like, you know what? that ain't for me. Like, you feel me? I'd rather just do what I know rather than learn something new. And that makes me so angry, like I said, and it makes me really, really passionate about what I'm doing every single day. Like I'm literally, I woke up probably 2 a.m. and I finished minting all those tattoos. I made 10 tattoos last night. I made video, made a song, like you say about creating physical things that show. Then he put a lot of work into that. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to show you guys. Like, I'm putting all the work and effort into it. Like before I get on stage at these speeches again, like I'm going to be in Toastmasters, perfecting and practicing my communication skills and my speaking skills, because I want to be able to represent Bitcoin Cash in the best way possible. And I want to do it on a consistent way, like you talked about.
Yeah, well, like they say, passion is actually, people think of that as like a grand, romantic or kind of thing, but passion is actually about suffering. That's why they have the passion of the Christ. Like, it's about like suffering. Like, people are only going to take your passion seriously if you're like willing to bleed for it, metaphorically speaking. If you're willing to actually, do something hard and difficult that you put a lot of your time and energy into, that's when people will take it seriously. You mentioned about speaking, so tell me a little bit more about that. You were speaking at this thing, the Black Agenda. I was talking to you a little bit before the show, but I'd never heard of that. I didn't know anything about that. Tell me, what was that about, and how did you get to speaking about BCH there?
Yeah. So I was introduced to Dr. Lance McCarthy, and he's the co-founder of the Black Agenda. I was introduced to him by Melissa Acero. She's a luxury event planner, and she invited me to do a tattoo, to do tattoos at one of her events. And we got to talk about Bitcoin Cash. And she said, "Hey, I know somebody I want to introduce you to. He's a global economist. He's a political advisor. He's helped on presidential campaigns with Obama. Like, he's helped senators get in office. He's helped the mayor of Las Vegas get her position." And she's like, I want you to talk to him because I know that he can help you in your mission. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm all for it. Yeah, let's do it. We set up a mission, we talked, and he was all in. He was all in. He understood everything that I was saying. And his mission was, he said, "You know what? I love what you're doing, brother. And I love the Selene wallet. I love that the Selene wallet was developed by Black people as well." And he's like, "This is the Black Agenda, and we're gonna turn the Selene wallet to the Black Cash App." That's his words, man. And I'm like, I love to hear that, because Cash App, that's one of the biggest financial apps as there is right now. And to be able to say we're going to align ourselves with brands of that caliber, like that was profound that he was even thinking like that. I was glad to hear that he was thinking that big, because that's exactly what we need for sure. So yeah, like I said, he invited me to give a speech at the Black Agenda. I gave a 15-minute speech about Bitcoin Cash and why it's important to the world, and how it's important to separate the bank and the state. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that Steve Thurman talks about. Yeah, man. Just I'm just shilling the whole Bitcoin Cash lifestyle, and teaching the people the importance of understanding that it's not just an investment tool. It's an actual currency. It's actual money. Stop looking at it as something to invest into, and start looking at it as something that you use and you spend like money. The same way you don't invest into $1, you shouldn't be thinking about investing into Bitcoin Cash. Not to say that you shouldn't think about investing to it, but I feel like your first mindset should be, hey, let's establish this infrastructure. Let's establish the ways to spend and receive this Bitcoin Cash, rather than thinking about how can I get my own personal dollar off of it.
Callisto says in the chat, Black Cash App could be huge, TBH. And it's good branding, because it strikes instantly in my mind. It's like BCH, it could be like Black Cash App, kind of something like that,
Yeah,
maybe we just need to, get some good graphic design going on that. And it rings true to me from what we were talking about 6 or 7 months ago, and you were saying, and you were correct, about how Black culture drives the world culture in terms of like rap and hip hop, in terms of like fashion, in terms of like athletics. Yeah. Exactly. And so it's that same niche, it's the same opportunity for BCH to capture a sort of minority market that is way out, disproportionately impactful on the rest of the world. So I think that would be awesome. So tell me about, you give this speech 15 minutes. Did you get some questions afterwards? What is the kind of response that you get back?
Yeah, man. Embarrassingly enough, man, I ain't gonna say I bombed. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I got interactions, I got laughter, I got people that was interested. I kept everybody's attention. But when it came time to scan the QR code for the Celine wallet, I think I put the wrong QR code, or I used ChatGPT to create an image, and it had the Celine wallet QR code, but I think it adjusted or altered the QR code. So when on the graphic, yeah. So I'm gonna say like, hey y'all, scan this code down the wallet, and they like, the code ain't working, and I'm just like, oh shit, embarrassing. So yeah, but afterwards, I helped everybody download the wallet, and I sent a couple people some Bitcoin Cash, and really just I really just wanted to kind of get my feet wet again, just get comfortable back on the stage again. Yeah, it was just more of an opportunity to be able to say, okay, hey, this is what I'm about to do. This is what I'm working on. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm working on it with. And I'm like, I know it's going to continue to get better. This is the first one, and it was, mind you, only 15 minutes. It's like, how much can I really talk about as far as Bitcoin Cash in 15 minutes, knowing how much there really is to learn?
Yeah. Of course, you can only cover so much. But from your experience, then, amongst all this BCH onboarding you've been doing, all the different people you've been talking to, the various different initiatives, what do you think is most missing? Like, obviously, you're working on what you're working on, but this show is going out to tons of people in the BCH community. If you had to give some advice or direction to everybody as a whole, like, where is the weakest point that you're finding people are getting stuck on, or they need help on, or that we could make your life easier in onboarding people?
Two things I say. The first thing is, of course, everybody wants to know, well, how can I spend my Bitcoin Cash? Where can I spend my Bitcoin Cash at? And for a long time, I was like, well, what you want to do is just hold on to it. You know what I mean? Because right now, we don't have a bunch of places where you can spend it. But I'm encouraging you to hold on to it, and start accepting it and continue to accept it. That was my main focus on. But then at ETH Denver, I ran into the guys at Bitrefill. And of course, I got on my BCH tie, I'm with Ken Bozak, and we both talking to him like, hey, don't you guys accept Bitcoin Cash? And he was like, yeah, we do accept Bitcoin Cash. I'm like, oh, great, that's amazing, because that was one of the big questions I had was, well, where do we spend it? How can we spend it? And to be able to say, oh, well, there's an app right here called Bitrefill. You can take your Bitcoin Cash and spend that on Visa gift cards to pay anything with. I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect. That's what we need. That was the key to the end loop. Like Clissy says, that having a loop of a currency loop. But that's one thing was like I said, be able to actually spend the Bitcoin Cash. That's one thing that I feel like missing. But the other thing is a physical asset, a physical device, a physical asset that people can understand where their crypto is, because a lot of people that I deal with, they don't comprehend where Bitcoin or cryptocurrency comes from, because they're so stuck on having a physical asset to coincide with their money. Like they have digital dollars and they have physical cash. They know $100 in cash is the same $100 and on their cash app, digital dollars. But with crypto, they don't have a physical asset, a physical thing. Hey, crypto is something that they can actually function and navigate, on a user friendly level. I've heard they got hard wallets and stuff, like cold wallets and stuff, but interactive cold wallet that is something that can control and be interacted with on a global scale with as far as cryptocurrency. I believe that's something that is going to be a key factor in people understanding how cryptocurrency works. when they have something that's physical in their hand to be able to understand that this is their money and this is where it's going. This is how I'm going to control my money, separate from their phone or other device.
Right. Okay. So on that, like, obviously, you know about cash stamps and stuff. Is that's like in the right direction, I guess, but where's the missing link? Why
Right.
isn't that, solving the problem?
Well, cash stamps are great. Cash stamps are like amazing for like opening the door and starting conversation and actually, giving somebody some crypto, but I feel like something that I seen or something, it's an idea in my mind, and it kind of coincides with the things they call the Avagachis, where they were like crypto related, like gigapets thing, took Tamagotchi crypto pets. And when I seen that, I said that what we need. But we need a cool device like the original Tamagotchis. They were on like keychain, and I felt like if we had like a physical device that was like with NFC capable, Bluetooth capable, like something that was like a cold wallet that's detached from the internet, something that was safe and interactive, something that can be a physical device that could hold a person's crypto. They can interact with it and interact with other people in their crypto. I believe that's something that's going to be very, very key to people understanding, okay, this is how crypto really works.
Yeah, yeah. Callisti was talking to me about that the other day. I think it's interesting because I feel like we've got some of the pieces are starting to come together in terms of it's taking us a long time, obviously, to develop Selene Wallet and build out everything, But now that it's mostly functioning and working on your phone, we already have a lot of that software. So we could embed that onto another different device. I think something with a keychain, like you said, would be really good. Then people can, I don't know, put it on their belt loop or they're on their backpack, or they can put it, somehow in their wallet, maybe, attached onto a loop there. Like things like that could be really good. And if you made it a sort of like tap to pay or tap to interact type of thing, plus you can also gamify it a little bit, because that was also part of why the Tamagotchi was so popular, because it was fun. So then if you met somebody else who had it, like there could be some interaction there. I feel like that's got a lot of potential. Jet was just holding up like the NFC cards, which are sort of in a way kind of approximating what people are used to with banking cards. I guess that could also be good, but it's kind of not really the same. It's too similar to the existing banking to make it seem different. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I remember another thing I wanted to add to the functionality of the device. Remember those devices that were called scanners? It was basically like a Tamagotchi, but it had like basically like a barcode scanner on it, and you could scan each barcode, and those barcodes would like it'd be a battle or an item or something like that, And I believe that would make make it more interactive to where, okay, each time you scan a barcode or a QR code, it could be, some microsats or an item or experience point, just something interactive that makes the game fun and educational as far as crypto space.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
And
that's an
also safe
interesting,
though as well too, because
like you're saying, like, I mean, now QR codes are much bigger in general than they were at the time of at the time of Tamagotchis. Like people had barcodes on products, but they didn't have really QR codes. Now there's a lot of QR codes, and there's a lot of crypto QR codes. So it would be pretty cool if you could scan the QR code of somebody else's like Ethereum address or Litecoin address or something like that. Maybe you couldn't send money to it, or maybe you could, but maybe you couldn't. But you could at least like scan it and get some interaction, some kind of conversation
all right,
happening out of that.
yeah, for sure. It might be an educational moment, anything like because education is very critical at this point too, because like people don't have no idea on what crypto is, how to use it, and where it's headed. Like they don't, they it's been so the media has flooded everything with price value and making it an investment tool that people don't realize the real purpose of cryptocurrency is to be a currency, a form of payment. You know what I mean? They don't think about the currency aspect of it. They think about crypto. They think it's just crypto investment, not cryptocurrency. And that's where, a lot of the disconnection is come, because like they don't realize this currency is money to be spent, used, and saved and earned, not to be invested in. Like, and that's where it's a big problem. Once I believe that people have those, those hardware devices and understand, okay, my pet is my money, and the more money that I invest into my pet, the more healthy my pet becomes, the more I learn about my pet, the more, the more I learn about crypto and the whole aspect of it. And it's a fun, interactive thing that I can do with my friend or my partner. Like, yeah, that's for sure. And even my kids, like, because I wanted to be able to be, kid friendly as far as senior citizen friendly. You know what I mean? I want everybody to be able to use it, because everybody needs to be able to use it. It's money. Like, it's going to be the way I want it to be, the way people can, eventually spend all of their currency. If they keeping all the cryptocurrency on a device, and they decide to spend it at a vendor or a merchant or whatever, they should be able to use their crypto pad or device and scan it or tap it or whatever the case may be to make that transaction, to help people understand, okay, this is my wallet, this is my money, this is not just a toy, it's not just a game, it's not just an investment tool, this is something that I could actually live off of.
Yeah, some kind of bee cats or something like that.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, yeah, I can see like we have some of the right foundations for it. It will also take a little bit of time. It's also the right time for that, because kids these days don't have that kind of stuff, like old Tamagotchis, and I had like a little Digimon one and stuff like that. Was all like 15, 20, 25 years ago. That was popular, right? So now there's a new generation of kids. They don't have those kind of toys. They all have iPads and mobile phones, whatever, which is all super mega advanced. But it's actually kind of sucks in comparison. It's not even as fun as those things that had a physical element.
Literally.
Like sometimes you have to shake them or walk around with them or whatever. Like, so it's time for a new generation that would see that as new and interesting and cool, and would connect with that. So anyway, I think we've got like the concept makes sense, and some of the software is starting to come together. The tricky part to me seems like kind of the hardware. So we're going to need to dig around and find who in the BCH community is good at that, because if you're going to make a whole custom device, there's so many different elements that go into that. But I mean, it would be cool even if you could do mining somehow, even if like it was never going to win you any money, just the fact that you could try it and you could see a graphic or something would be pretty cool. Like, I don't know. Anyway, okay.
And you can probably get some type of expression points or something for that,
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll think some more about that. So some ways of making BCH physical to people, both for their security and entertainment, to make it more connectable with them. So that's one thing. The second thing was, where can I spend it? And like Bitrefill. Tell me a bit more about this, because as far as I know, Bitrefill do not accept BCH, and they've spent many years stubbornly refusing to accept it, despite accepting many other coins, because, I don't know, the leadership and the different people were like, hated BCH. They had all these fallout in the block size war and all that, but it persisted for a very long time. Did they tell you directly that they were going to accept it? What happened?
I mean, listen, I was standing there with this big ass green BCH tie on. You feel what I'm saying? Like, King was standing there next to me, and he was very adamant about asking them, "Hey, do you guys accept Bitcoin Cash?" Right? Because he's sponsored by Bitcoin Cash. That would be great. Like we had like that conversation had to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna stand there in this big ass green tie and not say, "Hey, y'all accept Bitcoin Cash?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not gonna happen. So that being said, of course I said that shit. Of course we talked about, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but I don't know, maybe he was confused. Or maybe, I don't know. But the fact that they're not accepting Bitcoin Cash, it hurts for real, because I'm like, damn, like I could have swore you looked me in my face and told me that y'all do accept Bitcoin Cash. But I'm like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad about it. I'm hurt about it. And I'm at this point, I'm like, whatever we can do to make this happen, then let's do it. Because like, I believe that we're going to bring a great value to Bitrefill, especially, the more work that I continue to do. Like, it's just a matter of time. And I feel like we'll be a very strong asset for, the Bitrefill company to have, like, for sure. And like, like what? Why not? I don't understand why not. Like,
Well, that's right. I mean, maybe we don't really understand why not either. But sometimes like people have their weird thing that they can't get over, or they're stuck in the past, or like whatever it is, right? So I think it sounds like you were making a good impact there, but I can't. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what we can do to get that over the line, really, because I agree
yeah,
with you. It's a very well-known company that does a lot of good work. A lot of people are very enthusiastic users, and I don't see why we couldn't sort of build that bridge and get it over the line. But I was surprised to
yeah.
hear that they had changed
I
their
would
mind about
really,
them.
I would really, really hope they would change their mind, man, because like that's something that we really need. Because like I said, people always ask, "How can I spend it? How can I spend it?" And I'm just like, well, I don't want to have to tell them, well, I want you to only hold it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, why am if I'm getting paid to do something, I don't want to just hold the money, because 9 times out of 10 they're getting paid to do something because they need the money to pay for something else. You know what I mean? So I get it. People need money to live, and like I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to do whatever it takes to get them to accept Bitcoin Cash. At first I was a little bit aggressive, I felt like, and Ken told me like, you might not want to be trying to be too aggressive, and I'm like, okay, you're right, but let me ease back a little bit. Let me ease back. That's why I made the country song, like, you know what I'm saying, like, a kumbaya, like, come on. you know, but also though, what I mean, like, if that don't work, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. If that shit don't work, if they ain't trying to, kumbaya with us, I'm pulling the racist card, man. Straight up, bro. I'm gonna say they
Okay.
not accepting Bcash because we black.
All right. Well, hopefully it
Straight up.
doesn't get to that.
They don't want that type of press.
No, they don't want that
They
type
don't
of
want that type
press.
of publicity, man.
They don't. But I think the carrot and the stick. It sounds like if the carrot is not going to work, it's going to be the stick. I definitely hope it doesn't come to that. I
You
don't
feel me?
endorse that as a
You feel me?
strategy.
Yeah.
Well,
Carrot or
I
stick. I like that.
what I do feel you on is the fact that, look, if they're not going to respond to one set of incentives, it has to be the other one. So even while that would not be my recommended way of doing it, they've got themselves into that situation. If they're not going to communicate with you, they're not going to look,
Because we starting off nice. We starting off like, hey, come on. Like, we knocking on the door. Hey, let us in. Please let us in. Let us in. Next week, we're going to knock on the door a little harder. Hey, we out here. Let us in. Let us in. We hungry. Come on, let us in. And the week after that, if they don't let us in, we busting the door down. Let us in this motherfucker right now. Straight up. I got that from Tupac, man. Straight up. I got that from Tupac.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how things work out on that front. But yeah, I really do hope that they will reconsider. Like, it wouldn't take them very long to add it as well, either. Like, it can't be that. I mean, it seems like their site was actually down the other day. They're having some other tech problems, but adding BCH should not be the biggest problem for them. Tell me a little bit about this stand with crypto, because I didn't know anything about this. I just heard the name. But there's this photo of you with a whole stack of people at
Yeah.
ETH Denver, and it says on their Twitter page, quote, "America's leading crypto advocacy organization, a grassroots hub empowering crypto users, builders, and supporters to make their voices heard," end quote. So who are all these people? How do you know them? And what are they actually working on?
Okay, so you want the ugly truth, or you want a pretty lie?
Well, I will always prefer the ugly truth, but maybe give us both and let the listeners decide. Start with the lie. Give us the pretty lie, and then give us the real talk.
Okay. The pretty lie is, Stand with Crypto is such a great community. I met all of them. I shook all their hands, and they have so many different places and different locations that they're establishing, and they're if I'm not mistaken, they're doing work with the government and politics to be able to. Oh, and the SEC, yeah, that too. They're okay. I say it's a pretty lie, but in reality, I know a little bit. I learned a little bit from it, you know what I mean? But but the ugly truth is, the ugly truth, I didn't know none of them people in that picture. I just walked up and said, "Hey, let me get in this picture." You feel me? Like, I want to be with y'all because I'm standing with crypto too. Like, they gave me some side stand with crypto, and now I'm standing with crypto. but I do. There's a guy that I did meet in Vegas, and he happened to be there, and when I seen him there, he remembered me from Vegas, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, next time you back in Vegas, make sure you come to the spot, and we gonna work it out, you know." And yeah, so yeah, I did know somebody from staying with crypto, but he's not even in that picture.
Right. Okay. Well, just because again, I'm like the BCH community, I feel, is going to be skeptical of this kind of stuff, right? Because there's been a long history throughout all of crypto of foundations and associations and lobbying boards and organizations of this, that, and the other, right? And there's always always a catch. The marketing, like you said, the ugly truth or the pretty lie. Like the pretty lie is always, oh, we're here to help. We're going to fix this. We're going to advocate to these people. We're going to protect your human rights.
Yeah.
We're going to do this, that, and the other. Right? And then in reality, it turns into politics and infighting, and some money gets grifted away by somebody which is never accounted for, and people spend a lot of time and effort trying to support them or find out what they're doing, and then it turns into a disaster. So again, I don't know Stand With Crypto. I've heard them once or twice, but I cannot speak to whether they're doing a good or a bad job. I have honestly no idea, but I do know that these kind of initiatives tend to have a lot of problems. And so that's why I kind of wanted to get your read on the situation in terms of like on the ground.
I'm glad you asked me that. I'm really glad you asked me type of questions, because it's really putting me into my 00 task mode for real. Like I really feel like I'm a spy infiltrating these different organizations and learning about them and bringing it back to the BCH community. Like, hey, this was going on. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I embody that character or that position. Like, I really want to be that. Like, to the point where like, when we go to the Bitcoin Cash conference, or excuse me, the Bitcoin conference, like I'm going to be like, soaking up all the knowledge, getting all the intel and do whatever it takes to, make the best impact for Bitcoin Cash, like for sure. And like, yeah, like I said, I feel like it's my job as 00 Tats, to spy, to pull up, and figure it out, and like I said, they got a location in Las Vegas. So I will be attending and seeing what's up, seeing if they really standing with crypto or they trying to stand on crypto. You know what I'm saying? See what's up.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's it, right? Because we're just in this age of misinformation, disinformation. I mean, humanity always has been. Like, people think propaganda was invented in the last 10 years, but no, it's been around forever. But especially now, we're just in this world where not only do you have the enormous fire hose of the internet just spewing out all kinds of stuff, half of which is completely fake and half of which is correct, but only in a certain context from a certain point of view, and then now we have AI. It's even easier for anybody to just cook up any like bunch of nonsense and make it look convincing. And so that's why proof of work is the signal to cut through that. If you burning money on your miners, then you can't have lied about that for any great length of time or any great amount without putting real resources into it. So that's why it's so important for the BCH community to be able to figure out what is real and what is not, because we have such limited resources and we have to allocate it to. It's the same thing we were talking about before. It's like the theme of the show is that if individual contributors, if they're going to get resources, they have to be reliable and they have to be able to deliver results. And in the same way, these kind of organizations, because as BCH grows, they're going to come to talk more to us as well. That's the other thing that's going to happen. And you can definitely let me know when you see more of that happening, because I'm sure you will. Once you're out there talking about BCH, at the moment, it's still more like outreach, but it's going to flip around and people are going to be in reach. They're going to be saying, coming to us and saying, hey, I want to get involved. I want to get involved. And that's great when it happens, because that's enthusiasm, that's interest. But you've got to be very careful, because there can be two kinds of people. One kind of person is coming, they're genuinely interested, they want to be a part of it. And the other person is just like a trend, hopper. They see that the trend is coming, they want to be on board with that. They come in, they try and suck up as much, clout, money, whatever as they can. And then when the worm turns, boom, they're out of there, right? So we've got to learn to be very decisive and very accurate about who we respond to in what way,
Understood. Yeah, and I think that's another important reason why I feel like me getting this Bitcoin Cash Sprinter van is going to be very vital to not only my success, but the success of Bitcoin Cash, because I'll be able to go nationwide to these different places and get all the information and bring it back, and see what's real, see what's not, and do what's necessary to make the actual impact, in these places, instead of just, being on the sidelines or being on the internet. I'll be there in person, with the Bitcoin Cash tattoo sprinter van, loud and green, you know what I'm saying? Like doing tattoos with some degenerates and, making a fuss and commotion, as well as educating and entertaining as well, to the point to where by the time that I leave, we're going to have different Bitcoin Cash hubs in every city, every state, everywhere I go, I want to leave a Bitcoin Cash hub everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? So that way, by the time I reach from one part of America to the other part of America, it's a whole trail of Bitcoin Cash hubs. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of time I'm on, and we continue to do that. They're gonna be everywhere. Like, and I truly believe I have what it takes, man. Like to getting Tetra 9 Smoke Lounge to accept Bitcoin Cash, and to onboard him as a true, accept Bitcoin Cash, and not only to accept it, almost an ambassador program, where they're promoting and having themed dates where everybody, they're only paying in Bitcoin Cash. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like once we set a proof of concept at that location, and to show, okay, this is how it's done. Then we better go to different locations and say, all right, this is what we're doing, and this is why you need to do it, and this is how it's going to benefit you. And if you don't, you're going to feel stupid. Like that's the vibe.
Yeah, well, because this is why, I'm thinking about now as well, like the BCH Argentina guys, they're coming out with their new version of their map, which they were running in Argentina. So this is another solution to that same problem of where do I spend it? People want to know, where do I spend it? So they have their map for their locations in Argentina. That's been working quite well. Now, what's really good is that they've been running that now enough successfully that they're starting to export it to the rest of the world. So we haven't got around to it yet, but we will embed that map into the Selene, so that then when people say, where can I spend it? You just say, look, here's the map, here's the places that accept it, and so forth, right? Now, the problem that people have always had with the maps was that they create a map and then the information does not stay up to date because there's so many merchants, they're all spread about all over the place. This guy is forgetting, the coin, how to use it. This person, they've onboarded some new staff. They didn't know one problem or another. It turns into a big problem. So what they're doing is they're making it with their map that they will have like regional sort of ambassadors who are like, for instance, you could be in a city where you are often, checking up on them and knowing what's going on and curating that list. So then they make it really easy to give you, I think it's going to start, I don't know, with spreadsheets or whatever, but I'm sure it'll iterate over time, so that then you or other people that you meet and trust can be the one keeping the information up to date for a local area. So that way we have the map constantly being refreshed by like an army of basically volunteers. Maybe we can even pay them once we get the system running. So that seems to me like a really powerful thing that would tie in super nicely with what you're going to be working on. Hopefully that would be my hope. But it will depend a little bit on the hard work of the community to do it. But I can see that making an absolutely massive difference. So this is just thinking, clicking to me that I'll have to make sure you're in touch with those guys, because that would be awesome. That where do I spend it? We gotta fix that problem. All right, seems like he's dropped out there, eh? All right, well, in the meantime, let me just do meme of the week. So quick shill here for BCH Bliss. Like I said at the top of the show, we got 43 Laylas available, and we are really hoping to sell out the whole event. The price is down a little bit in USD at the moment, which makes it an excellent time to pick up your tickets because they are denominated in BCH. So that same price in BCH, it's 0.4 BCH for the regular ticket and 1 BCH for the premium ticket is a little bit cheaper. So it's essentially on sale, on discount. So watch the BCH podcast, and then you can watch the Bliss live stream, but you'll get a lot more benefit out of being there in person. So now is a great time to head to bliss.cash, buy yourself a Layla NFT, and then also get yourself sorted with travel and accommodation, so that you can be there at the event. I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone, and it's going to be an absolute banger. Tats, you back? You hearing me? All right. The one other thing that we were going to hit on this week is the increasing dystopia that we find ourselves in. So Discord have been getting themselves into some hot water with trying to roll out these age verification onto many users. They claim that it will not affect 90% plus of users, and that it is being driven purely by Australian, UK, and Brazilian regulations, with more coming in Europe and the US. But it got a huge pushback from users who don't want to be part of some kind of surveillance state. And I think we had some excellent comments here on Twitter. For instance, this XX_ham_donut_XX says, quote, "People seem to have a goldfish memory, so let me break it down. The actual reason for Discord and many other social media to ask for your ID is to monitor and prevent the organization of mass protest against the government. Just last year, the people of Nepal and Morocco were able to organize uprisings against their government through channels like Discord. Being able to censor and or have the ID of people organizing protests would help the government stomp down on future uprising, which leads me to believe once the AI bubble bursts, Western governments are expecting some giant mass revolt, and in an effort to get ahead of the protest, they want to be able to stop people from organizing by controlling the channels that they gather in," end quote. So this is really, it's like that cartoon of how do you want this wrapped? It's either protect the children or terrorism. Those are the two avenues that are used to justify increased control. This one is more of a protect the children type of vibe. But not only do we have Discord and soon to be, others putting on those restrictions, but we still have the incoming CBDCs, with the ECB talking about doing a digital euro pilot in 2027 and a full rollout by 2029. And also today there has been controversy and discussion around Facebook or Meta glasses recording people, with those sunglasses that have a camera on them, and therefore recording people in their homes and bedrooms and at all times. So we are increasingly, in a world struggling with the capacity for privacy and free and open discussion. Can you hear me now, Tats? How you doing, man? All right. Well, in the meantime, I don't know if you have any comment yet on this increasing dystopia. Like, we've been worried about the whole CBDC thing coming up and wrecking us on the show for the last 3-4 years. But here we are in 2026, and it feels like the hammer hasn't quite fallen, but it does seem to kind of constantly be like inching towards, the moment when the axe falls. What do you think? Is it going to be more sort of delays and problems and, we've got a few more years left in us, or is it going to suddenly pop out and wreck us?
It'll probably be a bit of both. Like where it gets delayed and people get the impression that, oh, this will never happen. Like, oh, they've been delaying it for years now. And then like overnight, it's like, yeah, all of a sudden every social media network that anyone uses is like, yeah, we're doing this. And that's kind of already the case, right? Like, I don't know about I need to look into the recording people in private thing. Like, can you offer more context there?
Yeah, well, just the idea essentially was that, so, they had, like many years ago, they had like Google glasses, right?
Yeah.
And since forever, it's been a sci-fi trope of people walking around on the street with a AI, not AI, but an overlay, a VR overlay of like popping up information about the world and stuff, which quickly turns into, oh, this is going to be ads and like other nonsense, in your face. So people like rightly are very like worried about that, I think. But then the Meta have been at it with their glasses, which they tried to make look cool and stuff like that. And then what happened was people would of course obviously regularly forget that they were wearing these glasses and they were recording them. And so then they would just put them down on their table at night or whatever. And it would turn into like recording them like getting undressed or having like sensitive conversations or like having sex or whatever. And then, it goes a step worse, because not only then were they being recorded, but the AI Meta people or whatever are feeding this into their AI training data so that they can tag objects or whatever they're using it for. And so then you have all these people watching all these recordings of all these people who don't realize they're on camera, and it just, the whole situation's a bit squirrely, right?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I think if someone, bought the glasses and they don't understand enough how to use them, that's on them. But it'd be a whole other thing if it's like, someone that's not you puts a set of glasses down and you just walk up and you think, you're having a normal conversation, and all of a sudden, you're recorded for something. I'd be uncomfortable with that, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, there we go. We can hear you now. So we're already in this world where like you can't really walk around in public without feeling like some idiot might be recording you on his camera, or if not, passing shops and whatever are already filming us all the time. And it hasn't quite got to the level of that like overlay where at any given instant, sort of, if you are a celebrity, right, you have to be walking around knowing that people might recognize you or might come up to you and talk to you or something like that. But if you're just not in that 0.01% or whatever, then you're not too worried about random people that you don't know suddenly being like, oh, this guy, whatever, this guy might have a lot of money, or this guy might be significant in some way that I'm not, currently aware of, that maybe they don't want to be known about outside of that context, right? Yeah. And so that's increasingly just going to become a problem, and even just a sort of a right to privacy in the terms of you don't want to walk into every single room with your reputation already preceding you and have everyone else like in a bar, like you just
trust me. Like I've been that guy. Like I'm like a local celebrity in my city. So like when your reputation precedes yourself, when you walk into a room, especially if you have any type of negative reputation, it's like it's gonna be multiplied, amplified, and then it's gonna be like the big elephant in the room. You walk in, it's like maybe I should take a step back. Like, you know what I mean? Like for sure, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like horrible. You want to like, obviously you can't escape your reputation in some way, but your reputation is manufactured by other people, obviously as a result, indirectly of what you choose to do. But there's all kinds of reasons that in some cases you want some people knowing some things about you, and in other cases you don't, right? I'm pretty sure everybody in the world can understand. Nobody wants to live in some hyper panopticon like high school reality. Like that's just the worst thing imaginable, basically. But we are heading towards that world. Do you see that happening?
Yes, I already feel like, especially with social media being like, it's like this one big high school cafeteria. Like, and it's everybody, you got the cool crowd over here, you got the nerd crowd over here, got the crypto crowd, you know what I mean? You got all the different crowds, and like, and it's nobody's really communicating on a human level anymore. Like, and it's I see exactly what you're saying, bub.
Yeah, it creates a little bit of a judgmental atmosphere where you can't just start with a blank slate and have somebody else start with a blank slate in interacting with you either. Like people coming in with already all these preconceptions. I feel like that's bad news for humanity.
Is it? Do you think it's like Jeremy? Is it the accessibility that bothers you? Because I'm thinking like, so Canada, I think nationwide is a one-party consent recording country. So if I'm saying, like, if I'm going into a conversation, I can record whatever the hell that I want. Like, there's no expectation of privacy for the other person. unless it's their property. And even then, I think it's like you can, but like maybe you aren't able to publish that, something like that. And I mean, there like people have been secretly recording people for hundreds of years, I assume now, right? So do you think is it specifically the glasses and the level of like, yeah, anyone can do this now, and it's just going to some cloud somewhere? Is that the thing that bothers you, or is it kind of like, do you think we need to change the laws at this point because technology's gone too far?
Well, I don't think, I mean, maybe change the laws. I just don't think the law is not really an effective way of dealing with this stuff anyway, because like you say, people will just do whatever they do. Like the law can only catch the very tiny minority of egregious cases, even in the best scenario. So I don't feel like that's a very pragmatic solution, although maybe it would help. It's not my preferred way of doing it. But I just think, and some, people are different about this, right? Like some people just apparently have a very low filter for shame and guilt or sense of social morals or anything like that.
And
they they're just walking around like they don't care who knows their business about anything. They just blabbermouth to every single person they ever meet. And that's just how they operate, in their lives. And at the same time, some people are real, like insular, like closed off, like highly private and everything like that. And, everyone's somewhere on that spectrum, right? But just as somebody who, like, for instance, I was very, like, in doing this show, for instance, has been a huge change for me in terms of how much I'm trying to be in the public arena, basically, because by default, I'm more on that side of, like, I don't want people to know, like, what I'm doing, and I don't want to know what they're doing. Like, I don't feel some psychopathic need to control other people or try and dictate what they're doing, as long as they're not, hurting other people or, something egregious like that. Like, let people do what they want to do, because you can't have a free and open society if people are not free to do, like, observing a process changes it. Everybody knows that the whole point of a panopticon, right, by Jeremy Bentham, I think it was, right, is like, it doesn't matter if nobody is watching the prisoners. If they feel like they're being watched, they will be unable to escape because they'll be too afraid to do anything different. And that's just the meaning of tyranny to me. So the fact that, we could, like, it's just, I mean, you already have it. Like, if you go to, like, London or especially like Beijing or something like that, and you're walking through the subway, and then they just have those cameras everywhere, and they're just tagging every single person that is in the subway. Like, the potential of abuse for that is just insane.
So, fun fact for all of our listeners, like black metal corpse paint still bypasses quite a lot of facial recognition software. So, like, maybe just time everyone goes goth and just starts painting their faces.
But even that
blackface.
that's not even good enough, though, because they already have like the way you walk and stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It's literally just your gait. Like, they can already identify, the shape of your body, your height, and how you walk, and they can already sort of fingerprint you based on that. And then boom, that's it. You're cooked, Like, that's crazy. Yeah. That's it. You are,
I'm sitting here with these meta glasses on, and y'all talking about that, and it's like I get that, because like they got these little I guess they call it privacy little things where you can put like over the light or whatever, and I'm just like that's kind of creepy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would want somebody to know that I'm recording them. You know what I mean? I don't want to be on no like. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's some invasion of privacy, without even letting them know, and that's not cool. Like, it gave me weird vibes to think that somebody might be doing that to me. So I definitely didn't want to do it to anybody else.
Yeah, so I don't know what the solution is going to be. I mean, I have for a long time, I'm not rich enough to yet, basically. But at one point, if I had a lot of money, one of the things I would love to do would be to set up like a bar or a social event space or something, and get it all rigged up so that you would have like no phones. Like, that people came in, they checked their phone in at the concierge or whatever with some, system, or, to avoid abuse or whatever, and just people lock up their phone, and then you could just have like a room with 100 people with nobody like had a phone. That used to be the default everywhere all the time. And
Yeah,
now
for
it's
sure.
unbelievably rare to have that kind of situation.
I
And
know it's
I
a
feel
thing
like
with
there's a lot of value. You
I know it's a thing with comedy clubs nowadays because they don't, like, comedians don't want to have people just bitching about their set if they're just trying something new. But yeah, that's the only place I'm aware of, like, where it's like, lock up your phones at the door.
I mean,
Oh
it can
yeah,
happen. Yeah.
yeah. Adult lifestyle events, they be taking the phones that I be going to. Like, yeah, because mind you, I've been doing tattoos at these lifestyle events. You know what I mean? Like, and like, yeah, like, and to mention that the creator of the lifestyle events is looking forward to having like a BCH themed lifestyle event to where all the vendors in there are accepting Bitcoin Cash, and even the dancers, the talent, they're accepting Bitcoin Cash as well. It's like yeah, we're working on some real major things. It's gonna be like real world things that people can be able to see and come to an experience rather than just being able to think about it on their phone or over the internet. For sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And even but there's all kinds of there's some niches like that, like the same with like some sort of camping and outdoors stuff. Sometimes people are able to enforce that, or also, yeah, like with bachata or salsa dancing. That's a rare case because that's the kind of thing that I have seen where you can have hundreds of people in a room and without taking away everyone's phone, interestingly, you can have a scenario where people just voluntarily, it's just the culture, like people, okay, if they need to look at their phone, they will look at their phone, but it's rare because everybody there is kind of in that spirit of like, let's just be in the moment, and it's kind of a broken windows thing. If nobody's doing it, then nobody else does it, and then boom, you actually have a social environment as well, as long as people can hang out, without talking to anybody and without staring at their phone, and then that's fine. But like, I don't know, I just feel like we're going to lose something with humanity if we're already teetering on the brink of that, and I
Yeah.
don't want that to go away,
Yeah, for sure. And that's another thing that I feel like is going to be helpful with the crypto pets and having that physical device, because it's going to get you outside of the house, because you can scan all those QR codes. You can scan. There's only so many QR codes and barcodes in your house. Then you got to go outside and start getting more interactions with other people and do more things. It's gonna force the interaction of social behaviors and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're running out of time. So, Tats, we always have this segment, message to the community. What do you think the BCH community needs to hear?
Well, the BCH community needs to hear from me. Who I am. I'm double O tats. I'm the Black James Bond with the tattoo gun, and I'm doing crypto tattoos to put an end to the dollar. That's why we put the dollar sign on the end of the double O tats. So man, I just want you guys to understand and know that I'm in here for the long run. I'm not going nowhere. Like I understand the apprehension of dealing with people that claim to be marketers for the Bitcoin Cash community, and then they run off, and people that don't really show proof of work, don't produce like they said they're gonna produce, don't, you know what I mean? They're not me. I'm not them, and I know I'm coming harder than probably anybody has ever came, from my demographic, from my culture, and I'm reaching the culture that we need to reach. You feel me? And I'm doing it in a major, impactful way. And I just hope I continue to get you guys support, and like I'm gonna continue to do what I say I'm gonna do. Like I said, this part of my life. This is my life. And whatever way I can continue to push Bitcoin Cash, I'm gonna continue to do that. Funny or not, because like I understand the value of the work that I'm doing for myself. So like and not for myself, but for my people, for the people. Like it's important that everybody has the power of their own money, control over their own money. And my people, the people, don't understand the importance of that. They don't understand the value of that. And I truly believe I have what it takes. I'm doing the work that's necessary, needs to be done to make this happen. And I just hope I continue give you guys support, help me get the Bitcoin Cash tattoo sprinter van so I can go nationwide with this, every day, because I can be anywhere at any given time doing these tattoos. I'm tattooed on airports, strip clubs, Braves, churches, like I'm tattooed anywhere, everywhere outside Las Vegas, parking lots, wherever, this doesn't stop my mission, and I want my mission to be, BCH, FTW, flat out. Like that's what I'm on. And I hope I continue to give you guys support. Like I'm about to drop this campaign. It's from me, that cash campaign for the Bitcoin Cash Tattoo Sprinter Van. I've been delivering all my promises and over delivering on some of them. And I continue. I plan on continuing to over deliver. So I really hope you guys, continue to support me, and I got you guys vote of confidence because I'm confident in myself. I truly see the writing on the wall for our future, and like now I'm able to write on the wall. Let me write on the wall. We already see the writing on the wall. Let me write on the wall with this tattoo gun and watch what's going to happen. Flat up.
Amazing. Okay, well, on that same note, in that same spirit, the podcast is also running another FundMe. We've completed another batch of 10 episodes, so we're looking for funding for episodes 176 to 185. We've now completed over 100 episodes, all funded by the community. So that's been amazing, and I love doing this show, and I love everything that we put out for you guys. But it isn't free, right? Nothing good was ever
And
free.
I really love, not to cut you off, but I really love the fact that the community has been so consistently behind you and your mission, because you are consistent in itself. You are the epitome of consistency, and I love the fact that you continue to do this, and you're inspiring me to be more consistent and make sure that I'm not introducing you guys to an energy that I can't sustain. And the energy that I'm bringing right now is sustainable for sure, and then to be able to, to have the Bitcoin Cash Tattoo Sprinter Van to help everything that I'm doing, that I'm already doing, it just make it more organized, and just make it all flow fluidly, and I believe that's the missing key to taking, us, to the next level, pretty much.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to donate to the show, you can go on fundme.cash. We're campaign number 99, and send us some sats. I think we have a little bit over nearly 40% of the next batch of episodes funded. So if anybody else is chipping in there, I would love that. I would really, really appreciate it.
I will be, for sure. Don't worry, I got my plan right here.
Amazing. All right. Okay. Well, shout out to our existing contributors. If you get at least half a BCH in there, you get shout outs on the slide. So shout out to Majamalu, Eyes on the Ball, Sir Mix a Bit, I Like Big Ints and I Cannot Lie, and No Op, celebrating the devs. Sir Mix a Bit, you're a man after my own heart, a man of culture, they say. And supporter appreciation, donators and patrons. Ricky, Kyle, HP, and John Zawarski, a new contributor. Thank you very much for sponsoring the show. And our other sponsor, General Protocols. Check out bchbull.com. Start Guide FAQ and links are at bitcoincashpodcast.com. Get on Celine at celine.cash. Tats, any final words or shout outs where people can follow you on social media? Just round out the show a little bit for us here.
Yeah, for sure. I want to, of course, give a shout out to the whole Bitcoin Cash community, showing love and support. You can always find me on any social media, 00tats, TATTS or TATT $. I'm just so motivated, so focused on this mission BCH FTW, and it was something I was gonna say. It's gone now. It's gone now.
Jet, any final shout outs from you?
Just to Alex, happy birthday.
Oh yeah, I know what I'm gonna say. Happy birthday to him. But I do what I'm gonna say. One more thing I gotta say, gotta reiterate, like you said earlier, brother, we know that Black culture leads the trends in the world. You know what I'm saying? Black culture in America leads the trends for the world. And I am in the Black America. Like, let's lead the trends, period, point blank. Like, I have what it takes. I am what it takes. And if I don't have what it takes, I know somebody that does have what it takes. And together, we all have what it takes to make this a reality. And we just all need to come together and ache strong together. Straight up.
All right. I love it. And my shout out, but it's kind of a reverse shout out, is to Bitrefill. You've got to earn this shout out. Come on, guys. You got to accept BCH. We'll clip out that bit where Tats was talking about it. We'll post it to them on Twitter and then see, if we can get any response, because we're definitely doing our part of the outreach. So let's see some reaction there. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Until next time.
For sure.
Kryptonana, exit liquidity, hodl-nana, dump it all. Kryptonana, exit liquidity, hodl-nana, dump it all. Kryptonana, exit liquidity, dump it all. Hodl-nana, dump it all. From the day we arrive on the blockchain and blinking step into the trade, there's more to lose than can never be won, more to dump than can never be saved. Influencers, tweets, and the noobs all follow, buying high, selling low, what a game. But the boomers know, and Sailor, he knows that the dump is coming. It's all the same. It's the circle of exit liquidity, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and FOMO, till we find our place on the path unwinding in the circle of exit liquidity. Some of us fall by the wayside, and some of us soar to the stars, but the influencers always win with the Lambos and their cars. So beware of the pump and the inevitable dump, for the cycle continues and the news get wrecked. Kryptonana, exit liquidity, hodl-nana, dump it all. Kryptonana, exit liquidity, hodl-nana, dump it all. Kryptonana, exit liquidity, dump it all. Hodl-nana, dump it all. It's the circle of exit liquidity, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and FOMO, till we find our place on the path unwinding in the circle of exit liquidity. Dump it all.